And the state track championship.
Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to the April 28th Planning Commission meeting in Gulf Shores. We'll now call the meeting to order, and we'll start with a roll call.
Keith Backus,
Here.
Frank Malone,
Here.
Philip Harris,
Here.
Richard Lamar,
Here.
Brent Brown,
Here.
Alan Young,
Here.
Dr. Mary Long,
Here.
Jason Holt,
Here.
Ray Moore.
Here.
All righty. Chair will entertain a motion about the approval of the minutes of the March 24th meeting.
Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the March 24th, 2026 minutes.
Okay?
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, minutes carried. Today, we have 4 public hearings. The first one is the Village at Gulf Landing Final Subdivision Plat, and it's all yours, sir.
Before we get to the 4 public hearings, would like to go over the public hearing guidelines for the members of the public that are present today. So staff will present each application to the Planning Commission. At that point, the chairman will entertain any questions from the commissioners. Then the chairman will allow the applicant to make any presentations. At that point, the chairman will open up the public hearing. If you'd like to speak, please come to the microphone, state your name, address, and please address all of your comments to the Planning Commission and try to refrain from repeating any comments that have already been said, and hold your comments to 3 minutes per speaker. After everyone who wishes to speak has spoken, the chairman will close the public hearing, and then the Planning Commissioners will hold any further discussions and vote on each of these 4 applications. So the first item is Village at Gulf Landing Final Subdivision Plat. The applicant seeks, final subdivision plat for a 116 lot townhouse subdivision on Pod A of the Lake PUD. So the property is highlighted in red on the location maps on the screen. It is directly to the west of State Highway 59 and south of West 36th Avenue and north of West 34th Avenue. Again, it's currently zoned PUD. Some of the existing conditions, these pictures were taken recently. They show some of the construction that has taken place within the West 34th Avenue right-of-way, as well as on the property. And the bottom left photograph shows a previously constructed portion of West 34th Avenue that was constructed by the city that connects to a red light on State Highway 59. So we did notice this application in accordance with the subdivision regulations. We sent notices to everyone within 1,000 feet of the subdivision. As of today's date, we have received no correspondence from the public notice. So the zoning of the property, Lake PUD, is a planned unit development. It is divided into 4 sections referred to as pods on their approved master plan. Pod A, the underlying zoning is R3, limited density multifamily district, and Pod A is where the proposed 116 lots are located. At the time of the PUD master plan approval, there were 2 waivers that were granted to the Lake PUD that affect the development of Pod A. The waivers were to allow the townhouses to have attached garages and open parking accessed from the street in the front of all units, as opposed to rear-loaded garages. And then the second waiver was to allow Pod A to be served with private streets and open parking in lots or driveways. Our current regulations require townhouses to be served with public streets. So a little background on this item, or this application. In October 2018, the PUD master plan was approved for the total 83-acre property. It was restricted to a maximum of 575 units, and the PUD approval required the dedication and construction of an 80-foot wide public right-of-way known as West 34th Avenue. In March of 2020, the landowner deeded an additional 44 feet of property to the city for the construction of the West 34th Avenue public right-of-way. Probably shortly after that, the city built their portion of West 34th Avenue. And then this application received site plan approval for a 116 lot townhouse subdivision in December of 2023. And at that point, the developer was also required to construct the portion of the West 34th Avenue adjacent to Pod A. So this is the overall master plan. Pod A is shown there, highlighted in black. I think you can really miss that. So the process, it's a little different for townhouses. Our current regulations in Article 11-3 requires an application to proceed to final subdivision plat after all the public improvements have been constructed as specified on the site plan. So the public improvements required at the time of site plan approval was the construction of West 34th Avenue and the utilities and landscaping associated with West 34th Avenue. The applicant has constructed some of the improvements on the private townhouse development, but technically those aren't not required to be constructed at this point. So in the instance of a final subdivision plat, it's the responsibility of the Planning Commission to ensure that the final plat and construction conforms with the approved plans that were approved at preliminary plat. If final subdivision plat is granted, that allows the applicant to record a subdivision and create legal lots. So the proposed subdivision plat, again, the final plat does comply with all of the requirements of preliminary subdivision plat. In this instance, Pod A is just over 16 acres. Again, the use is townhouses. The number of lots is 116. It equates to 6.91 dwelling units per acre. All of the lots will be 1,776 square feet. Complies with the setbacks required at the time of preliminary plat approval, and 51% of the development is open space. Here is a colored rendering of the proposal. Under the analysis portion of this application, again, the roadway and vehicular access, the Village of Gulf Landing will be accessed from West 34th Avenue. All streets within the development are private, and the applicant has constructed West 34th Avenue as required by the preliminary plat plans that were approved at that point in time. West 34th Avenue, it contains two 11-foot travel lanes, two 5-foot bike lanes, and a 10-foot multi-use trail on the north side of the property. Pedestrian bicycle facilities. The applicant has constructed 5 feet wide sidewalks along all of the private streets within the development and around the two retention ponds. And then there are sidewalks located within the West 34th Avenue. And the diagram on the right shows all of the sidewalks that have been constructed. The larger, heavier line on the south, on the lower portion of the screen is the 5 foot wide sidewalk within the West 34th Avenue. Open space, again, a lot of the amenities and open space will be completed prior to a certificate of occupancy for each townhouse group of buildings, but the open space that was approved, 38% of the project will be open space. There'll be a pool, dog park, and sidewalks around the ponds. There are passive spaces located around the perimeter of the property. And a requirement of site plan approval was that the amenities must be completed prior to the issuance of a C of O on the first dwelling unit. And we've carried that condition over and included in our recommendation with this final subdivision plat as well. Stormwater drainage, engineering departments performed an on-site inspection of all the stormwater ponds, and the drainage infrastructure has been constructed and approved by the engineering department, and it's consistent with the approved preliminary plans. Landscaping, in this instance, they were required to plant 11 live oak trees within the right-of-way of West 34th Avenue. All 11 oak trees have been planted. The landscaping on the townhome portion of the project will be completed prior to the issuance of a C of O on each group of townhouses. Street lighting, the city did not install any street lights on the previous portion of the West 34th Avenue that has been constructed. Street lighting will be installed by the city utilizing the Baldwin EMC surcharge. And then we did have the fire marshal, engineering department, Gulf Shores Utilities, and Baldwin EMC have all reviewed the final subdivision plat. The fire marshal has conditionally approved the subdivision with a condition that we've included in the recommendation portion of the staff report. Engineering department has reviewed, inspected, and approved all construction that has taken place within the village of Gulf Landing. Gulf Shores Utilities has completed inspections, and this subdivision is scheduled to be accepted by their board 2 days from today at their April 30th meeting. It's my understanding everything's been approved. They just have to get their board to accept all the water and sewer infrastructure. And then Baldwin EMC provided a email indicating the electrical conduit for Village of Gulf Landing and West 34th Avenue has been installed and inspected by Baldwin EMC. Because this is a public, West 34th Avenue is a new public street, a maintenance surety is required. A maintenance surety must be in place for 2 years after construction, or actually after approval of the Planning Commission of a public street. The applicant did provide an engineer's estimate for all the public improvements, and they will be required to submit a performance or a maintenance surety in an amount of $77,981 if this final subdivision plat is approved. And with that, staff recommends approval with, now it's going to be 3 conditions because one of the conditions has been addressed prior to, or since we sent out your staff report. Condition number 1 is a carryover from the original site plan approval. All site amenities and common male facilities shall be constructed prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy on the first unit. Number 2 was concerning the landscaping within West 34th Avenue that has been installed since I sent the staff report to the planning commissioners. So that one's been deleted. Condition 2 now is prior to recording the plat, the applicant shall provide a maintenance surety in an amount of $77,981.57. And then condition 4, the fire marshal shall not sign the final plat until all required water service and fire hydrants have been tested and approved by Gulf Shores Utilities. And again, it's our understanding that that has been done, but we just want to make sure, basically the fire marshal's not going to sign the plat until the board of Gulf Shores Utilities accepts this subdivision. Just kind of as a safeguard, because some of the, going back to some of the subdivisions we've had issues with in the past. Any questions?
I don't see anything in here about dumpsters or garbage removal.
So again, this one's a little bit different because originally the townhouse development was approved through site plan, where they received site plan approval for all of the buildings, the landscaping, the dumpsters, all of that stuff that's on the private property. Really, the only thing the planning commission is doing at this point is approving final subdivision plat to plat the 116 lots and to approve the construction that took place within the West 34th Avenue. Prior to them getting a C of O on individual units, the landscaping, the dumpsters, amenities, all that will have to be built and inspected by the different city departments. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
It's a little,
A little different.
yeah, it's a little different. Our townhouse regulations are a little different, where they require a site plan approval on the front end, then final subdivision plat on the back end for public improvements. So,
Gotcha. Okay.
and this one, it received some waivers. So, typically the streets would have been public improvements within the private property, but they received a waiver to have private streets. So this is a little nuanced here.
Okay. Commissioners, y'all have any questions for staff? Is the developer here? Southeast Civil?
Yes.
Okay. Introduce yourself, sir.
My name's Larry Smith with SE Civil. I really don't have anything to add. Andy did a great job explaining everything. I'm here if y'all have any questions for me.
Thank you very much. Okay, I guess it's time to open up the public hearing. I'll do that this time. Anybody would like to come and address this body, please feel free to do so at this time.
Holly Collins, I live on West 36th Avenue. My back door yard is their backyard. I don't understand what this is all about. We just want to make sure that when they do this site thing, that they are going to put a privacy fence up adjacent behind where my land meets and theirs. And on the original plan we seen many years ago, it had it. And the developer at that time told us to make sure that when it came to the planning commission, that we did come in to ensure that they do put up a privacy fence.
There is no changes to the required buffering around the perimeter of the site. I can't remember the exact requirements of site plan approval, but if there is a fence required at site plan approval, it will be constructed.
Site plan approval,
It'll be constructed prior to certificate of occupancy on the buildings.
okay.
So when will we know? Because we're just trying to keep the foot traffic off of us and the trash, because we're already getting it from the service station.
Okay,
If you want to leave your name with Miss Davis here, I'll be glad to call you in the morning and describe exactly what the required buffer is.
But it'd probably be good to understand is, I don't know if these are gonna be phased construction of these units, or they plan to go in and build them all at one time? And if the fencing will then be phased with the buildings, or how that will be installed, but if there is a fence and or buffer, there's some kind of buffer there, at what point that,
It is my understanding these will be phased. And I don't know the exact phasing, but they will not build all of them at once. If the planning commission deems it fit, you could add a condition that the buffer fence goes in prior and landscaping prior to C of O on any unit. But it's my recollection, it seems like it's a Class C buffer. A lot of the property to the north is residential zoned, which it's, and I don't remember, but it would be a substantial landscape buffer required up there.
okay, all right. Somebody else, yes, come on up. How are you, sir?
Larry Freeman, 5285 Millhouse Road, Gulf Shores. I have a couple of questions on this. Generally, when you bring up something like this, you mention a HOA. Does this development have its own HOA?
It will, yes, sir.
Generally, there's a provision in that says it does. Also, these are said to be townhouses. They look an awful lot like apartments. I want your assurance these are townhouses that will be sold as fee simple, where the property is transferred with the house itself, indicating they're not apartments. Is that true?
They comply with the townhouse regulations within the zoning ordinance, which is platting the lots into fee simple lots.
They will be sold on fee simple basis.
We don't control
Oh,
who they're sold
handy.
to, where they're sold. The zoning ordinance does not address
Come
that,
on, here
get
we
to those
go.
specifics.
No. That is just not right. When you say a word townhouse, you mean a house that is going to be sold where the land is conveyed.
That's exactly what I just said. Yes, sir.
Okay, the land is going to be conveyed with
Yes,
the
sir.
property.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your input. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Gulf Shores Wedding Chapel.
Yes,
Our
ma'am.
property borders the south side of where they're going to be building. And when we came to the approval in the beginning, the buffer zone was supposed to be heavily landscaped and buffed on the south side of that street also. I just want to confirm that that is still in place.
Yes, ma'am. It's still in place.
It doesn't look like there's a lot of landscape going in. They only had to do 9 trees.
They only had to do what the only landscaping they had to do at this point was landscape the West 34th Avenue right-of-way. There is substantial landscaping that will be around the perimeter of the entire development,
And when will that be done?
with the phasing of each building group,
Okay.
unless the planning commission wants to add a condition to the approval.
Are they going to start building on the east side and go to the west side?
I don't recall. They did submit a phasing plan to me, but it was, I don't have that in front of me. I'm sorry.
Okay, you don't know.
Top of my head, but if you want to also leave your.
Okay, is anybody else? Okay. Mel, close the public hearing, and unless the commissioners have any questions, the chair will entertain a motion.
Just a quick comment. Both of the concerns are some of the buffering between current residents and current businesses, and particularly for the family on the northern side, depending where they start. I don't think it's asking too much for the applicant to go ahead and put up some type of a barrier, part of the fencing, maybe not all the landscaping and everything, but something to protect debris and construction activity from disrupting their, their home while this is going on. If it's a phased approach, it could be a number of years that they're going to have to look and watch and see all this happening. So I don't think that that's asking too much. And similar to the south side of 34th, you've got a business there, a wedding chapel. It's got, types of events that occur. And if you're getting a lot of traffic and disruption, it may be detrimental to their use of their property too. So those are two comments. I don't know how to necessarily add that into the conditions, but that's just what I'd like to bring up as a potential issue.
It's a good one. Andy, do we have any conditions that the developer has to do to comply with what he just talked about?
Well, only thing I can think of is, there are times when people build, usually like commercial projects, they put like kind of a 6-foot construction fence around. I don't know if that's what we want. I mean, that doesn't look the best, but it's usually chain link with some type of screen, and
Scream on top of it.
it would protect stuff from blowing and kind of provide a screen and, from trespassers and that type of thing.
Does the Civil Southeast representative have any idea on how this will be built?
As far as the phasing, they'll be building just a few at a time. I like the idea that Andy put forward better than putting the entire buffer in at the same time, because what we don't want is that buffer to get damaged
Agreed.
by construction. So if we're looking at some type of screening, I would prefer a temporary screening until that building gets in place, and then obviously they'll have to get the buffer put in. But that way we're not damaging newly planted trees by lifts and everything else that's going to be going around these units.
The Class C buffer requires a fence and landscaping. Is that correct?
I don't believe it does. It's a
So
heavily landscaped
it's
buffer.
either a larger buffer and no fence, or a reduced size of the buffer with a fence. And I just can't remember exactly what was approved on this development. So if you don't have a fence, for example, if you don't have a fence, it's probably 30-foot landscape buffer. With a fence, it may reduce down to 20 feet. But I just don't recall. I believe it's a Class C buffer. I just don't recall exactly what entailed of that Class C buffer.
Well, and Andy, it looks like from the properties at 36, that's all open space. Kind of a good portion of that is open space. Am I right on?
Let me go back to
If you open that up to where the red line goes around, that appears to be open space.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's a lot of common area back there.
Area. So I could certainly get behind having that landscape buffer and landscaping fencing around all that open space. I don't see where construction's going to cause an issue around that open space, unless I'm seeing something different. I mean, it's going to be green space. They're not doing anything else up there, right?
No, there's nothing else going up into those fingers. I was more
I
referring
think there's
to
one on that longest finger, I think there's a dog park planned
Yeah,
for up
yeah.
there, but it should be out of the buffer. It will be out of the buffer.
I was more referring to our most eastern boundary, where it will get tight back there. But if obviously we didn't do the landscaping plans, but from my recollection, that it was the Class C with just landscaping and not fencing. But I'll verify that. But it was the wider buffer with more landscaping.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, if anybody would like to make a motion and address these issues somehow, if you elect to want to do that, the chair will entertain a motion.
They're not putting a fence. There's not gonna be a fence unless it's a temporary fence, correct? Just a construction fence. These people were.
Again, so at site plan approval, my recollection is it was a Class C buffer. I just don't recall if the Class C buffer had a fence or not. So that's something, I don't know if I can pull it up on my phone or quickly.
It does say 20 feet, doesn't it?
Okay.
Could you say that again? There's been so many different things said. I'd like to know what is the final decision on that.
Yes, ma'am. We haven't,
We haven't made
there hasn't been a motion made yet, man. We're still in discussion. Okay?
I do know across the front, it's a 10-foot landscape buffer with 6 shrubs every 20 feet and 1 tree every 25 feet. There is no fence across the front on West 34th Avenue. That was just a standard landscape buffer.
Yes.
It is 20.
Yeah.
Well, if your Class C is 20 feet, that's 20 feet on the north side. The buffer. So that would be, if it's 20, it's landscaping plus fence.
Yeah, and I don't want to say something without confirming 100% what it is.
So whatever was approved at the site plan is what we're gonna require them to put in at the time of their COs.
Yes, sir.
So if we require a temporary screening during construction and then the permanent buffer be installed in the phases of the COs, then that should take care of the construction period. And then prior to any CO, get the final buffer put in place.
Yes, sir.
Whatever it is, I know you don't have it with you, but whether it was a fence in 20 or 30 feet, whatever it
have
is,
to
is
comply
what
with what was
was approved at the
approved.
time is what we should require them to do at the CO.
Well,
That-
why don't-
Yes, sir.
well, my concern with
Yes.
that, Philip, would be, I mean, if we're phasing this and they do one set of phases, we give a CO for that. We still need them to be able to landscape the property as well, right? Want to make sure it's all landscaped before the first set of people move into that home.
Or that phase.
Yeah.
What we don't know, does the phase include 1 4-unit building or 6 buildings? So if the temporary fence is removed for whatever COs that there are issued, then we would expect the final buffer to replace that section of
Temporary.
It was,
temporary
the
fencing.
phasing was more than one building at a time. I just don't recall which buildings per phase, but it was more than one building at a time.
So then we should require whatever the phase 1 is to be completely buffered before the COs.
Yeah. You want to make a motion on that, Philip?
If you want to make a motion?
May I ask a question, please?
Mm-hmm.
The piece that's around, the piece that's right now, nothing else, do you have any idea what they're gonna do with that dog park? With that section? Is there gonna be a dog park? Are they called a dog park?
There is a dog park going probably close to your property, yes. With a buffer around it. There's a buffer around it, yes, ma'am.
If it isn't but head high, you know. I just don't want.
All right, ma'am, thank you. Our hearing is closed.
Well, if I'm correct, maybe I'm a little confused. The Class C buffer gives them the opportunity to do a larger buffer with no fence or a smaller buffer with a fence. Is that correct?
That's how the zoning ordinance is written. What I don't know is exactly how this was approved. I know it was approved with a Class C buffer. I don't know if it's a Class C buffer with a fence and a smaller buffer, or the larger buffer without a fence. That's what I don't have in front of me. Does that make sense?
It does.
There are two options in the zoning ordinance for a Class C buffer. And then typically it's approved with one of those options by the planning commission, and I just don't know exactly how this one was approved.
Some people are thinking that fence is the buffer, maybe with no fence. If that's what we're doing.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll take a stab at it. So I make a motion to approve the final subdivision plat ZA 2623 with the condition that a temporary screening fence be installed around each phase before construction begins, and that the permanent buffer, whichever was approved in the site plan, be installed completely at each phase before COs are issued. And I know this is getting into a long motion here, Mel, but the temporary construction fence, I would like for that, whatever that's going to be submitted to staff and approved. It's not a typical 4-foot. I mean, it needs to be a screening fence that's sufficient and aesthetically pleasing because it's going to be up there for a while. So my recommendation would also include approval of that fence by staff.
And I'll second, but also include the additional 3 staff requirements or
Yes, sir.
conditions.
Yeah, I did not. I wanted to include the 3 recommendations by staff.
Okay, we got a motion.
Thank you, Grant. Yes, ma'am.
Still talking about the south side facing Dutch Shores Wedding Chapel, or are you just talking about 36th Street on the north side?
Talking about the entire project.
The entire
Each
the
phase.
entire development.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, our next public hearing is Oyster Bay Townhomes Final Subdivision Plat. Andy, is that you again?
Yes, sir. This is again a final subdivision plat. The applicant seeks approval to subdivide 3.77 acres into 40 townhouse lots. So it's somewhat similar to the last application, or very similar. Again, the location maps, the properties highlighted in red. This property is located on State Highway 180 West. It's just to the north of that state highway. It is to the east of St. Andrew by the Sea Church, south of, north of Whitehaven Insurance, and the property is currently zoned general business. Existing conditions, the applicant has constructed and dedicated portions of Oyster Bay Lane to the city as required by site plan and preliminary subdivision plat. You see some of those photographs there. They've also constructed the majority of the private streets, or all the private streets, within the private portion of the development. Again, we noticed this application in accordance with the subdivision regulations. We did speak with representatives of St. Andrew by the Sea Church about the required landscape buffer between this development and their property. Common theme tonight. Background on this one, this application was granted site plan approval back in 2022 for a 40-unit townhouse development. At that point in time, the townhouse regulations contained 3 different options for ownership, and the ownership, or the applicant at that point chose to retain the ownership of the land and condominiumize the units. The applicant obtained a land disturbance permit and began construction at some point after 2022. They constructed the alleyways, drainage, curbing, and portions of Oyster Bay Lane. And then in December of 2024, the applicant came back to the city and asked to plat the 40 townhouses into lots so they could sell the individual lots and townhouses. That was approved again in 2024. And at that point in time, townhouses were allowed by right in the general business zoning district. We have made an amendment to the zoning ordinance where townhouses are only allowed by conditional use permit now. But when this was approved, they were allowed by right. This is a very similar process. Again, this application, because it is a little bit older, the original application was reviewed in accordance with the townhouse regulations in place in 2022. A condition of preliminary subdivision plat approval was all improvements required within Oyster Bay Lane public right-of-way must be completed prior to final subdivision plat approval. They have completed those improvements, therefore they now can apply for final plat approval. Again, very similar to the last one. It's the Planning Commission's responsibility to ensure that the final plat and construction matches the plans that were approved at preliminary plat stage. And if the final plat is approved, that allows the developer to record the subdivision and create legal lots. So overview of this subdivision, it's 3.77 acres. Again, it's all townhouse type products. Number of lots are 40. It complies with the minimum lot sizes, lot width, and open space requirements when it was approved in 2022. All of the 40 townhouses will be accessed from the rear of the houses by private alleyways. And the proposed final plat does comply with the plans that were approved at preliminary subdivision plat and the construction documents that were approved at that point in time. On the right-hand side of the screen, you see the colored rendering of the development. It doesn't show the individual lots, but I've got another slide next that will show the individual lots. So you see Oyster Bay Lane. The applicant did dedicate some additional right-of-way, and they have made constructed Oyster Bay Lane up to, or brought it up to city codes. All the private alleyways that provide access to each townhome lot. And you see the open spaces, and it doesn't really show the stormwater retention areas, but they're identified by the letter C on the diagram. Here is the proposed final subdivision plat. It kind of mirrors that colored rendering, but it was a little bit easier to see the color rendering than this diagram. Analysis, requirement of preliminary subdivision plat was for the applicant to build a deceleration lane from Highway 180 into the development. That is complete. It has not been approved by representatives from ALDOT, but I understand it's basically from our city engineering department that they have taken care of all of ALDOT's requirements. Just ALDOT has not gotten over here to perform a final inspection. That deceleration lane will help with this development as well as the Oyster Bay project that's been developed there for years behind it. Oyster Bay Village, yes. Got too many Oyster Bays. So the individual townhouse lots are accessed from Oyster Bay Lane. Again, it's been upgraded to comply with city regulations. Private alleyways will connect all of the townhouse lots to Oyster Bay Lane. And the roadway construction has been reviewed and approved, inspected and approved by the city engineering department. Pedestrian and bicycle facilities, the sidewalk's been constructed on the west side of Oyster Bay Lane right of way. And the townhouse lots will be connected to this public sidewalk when they are built. It's worth noting that the sidewalk on Oyster Bay Lane does connect down to the existing multi-use pathway that goes along the north side of State Highway 180. Open space, 54% of the development is open space. All green spaces will be privately owned and managed by the homeowners association. Those all the open space and landscaping and amenities on the private property will be constructed prior to a C of O on the individual dwelling units. very similar to the last one. Stormwater drainage, the engineering department has inspected all the on-site stormwater drainage and reviewed their as-built drawings, and they've approved the as-built stormwater drainage infrastructure. Landscaping and tree preservation, as some of you will recall years ago, that when this was approved, there are numerous large live oak trees on the property. The developer did work pretty good, well with the city to preserve the majority of the large trees on the site. Those trees are still alive and preserved as they were required to be at the original site plan approval back in 2022. And they have landscaped the right-of-way as required by preliminary subdivision plat approval. Again, the landscaping for the townhouse portion of this development will be completed prior to C of O of each building group. Street lighting, again, was approved at the time of site plan approval, and that will be installed prior to a C of O on each dwelling unit. Department reviews, the site plan has been, or subdivision plans have been reviewed and approved by the engineering department, fire marshal. Gulf Shores Utilities has inspected and approved all of the water sewer infrastructure. They anticipate this being accepted by their board at their April 30th meeting. And then we do need a letter from Baldwin EMC to be provided prior to recording of the plat that states that they have approved all the electrical conduit. Again, a maintenance surety is required because this is Oyster Bay Lane, a portion of it is a public street. The design engineer did submit a cost estimate, and the maintenance surety shall be provided in an amount of $48,989 prior to recordation of the final plat. Covenants and restrictions, a condition of a preliminary subdivision plat approval was for the draft covenants to be modified to address the townhouse building types and lots. I think previously they were for an apartment type development. They did submit revised covenants and restrictions, and those do reflect the townhouse type of building or buildings and lots that they are now seeking approval for. So with that, staff recommends approval with 5 conditions. Condition number 1, the site amenities, landscaping, common mail facility, and streetlights shall be constructed prior to the issuance of a C of O on the first unit or building group. 2, letters indicating the installation and inspection of the electric, gas, telecommunications, if applicable, shall be submitted prior to recording the plat. 3, a letter from AlDOT approving the right turn lane onto Oyster Bay Lane shall be submitted prior to recording the final plat. 4, prior to recording the final plat, the applicant shall provide a maintenance surety. And then 5, the fire marshal shall not sign the plat until all required water service and fire hydrants have been tested and approved by Gulf Shores Utilities. Very similar condition to the last one. We just want to make sure fire marshal does not sign off on the final plat until utilities board has accepted this subdivision. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
George, are you happy with everything that you, and the egress and egress trucks getting in and out of there, okay? Okay, and one more question. You've got in here about the, stormwater drainage. The approved stormwater management system exceeds the city of Gulf Shores minimum standards. What exactly do you mean by that? I mean, just.
I think I can try to answer this, but I think that at the time it was approved, the standard was a 10-year storm event, and I believe they designed it to a 100-year storm event. So basically because of the surrounding development, they want to make sure that it was oversized to accommodate
because they've had some
potential issues.
They've had some issues in Oyster Bay, buildings in the back.
And I think that was probably required by the Planning Commission and staff at the time of site plan approval because Oyster Bay Village, I think, has some flooding issues in the past, so we want to make sure, try to protect the surrounding property owners as best we could.
Good. Okay. Anybody?
All the storm water is being channeled to the retention pond on the south side of the property? That one area?
Yeah, there's 3. There's 2 in the middle, kind of in the middle of each pod of development. And then there's a stormwater pond on the south side of the development. So if you look on this diagram, the letter C
Okay.
indicate those are stormwater ponds. So there's two kind of in the middle of the townhouse, each group of townhouses, and then the southern retention pond, and then the northern portion of the private street is also constructed out of pervious concrete, so it will allow the stormwater to go filter through it.
Okay.
At what point will those ponds be sodded?
They had to be sodded prior to C of O on the building groups.
They'll function during construction as they are?
Yeah, we've gone out there and done some inspections, and we will continue to keep open their land disturbance permit until the site is fully vegetated. So they do have to be fully sodded prior to the CO on the building permits that are adjacent to them. But in the meantime, we are doing inspections, and if it's not fully landscaped prior to a CO or that area is not done, we are continuing to inspect that. We do monthly inspections on all of those and after any large rain events to make sure that they still have all the capacity and everything's working and functioning correctly.
Any other questions up here from the commission?
Just one more quick comment. I did speak with Jenny's inspector. Jenny's been out of town, but I spoke with him this afternoon, and he did go out there, I don't know, after the storm event this weekend. He said that stormwater was functioning as it should be. So,
Thank you, Andy.
And same question here as the last application. The buffering around the perimeter will be installed before the first certificate of occupancy. Is that what's intended?
yes. For each building group. I mean, and I don't know if they did provide a phasing plan or not. I don't remember, but these are a little bit different animal because normally someone comes in, builds a commercial building, they build it all at one time and they're done.
Have a
But
question.
as written, they would have to, say they did the middle section, they had to complete all that and install the landscaping and buffering required of that section.
Quick question. I recall the last time we had this opportunity, the public comments talked about the Oyster Bay Lane enhancements, which look great now. Aldott turn lane looks great. And I remember the laydown area to the east was a communication point. Does the applicant plan on using that for construction, and will that be fenced off? Because it was before, and it's all cleared out now.
Right. That would be a question for the applicant. I mean,
Is anybody from Jade Consulting here today? Yes, sir. I'm gonna put you on the spot here, no?
That's all right. Scott Schamberger, I'm not with Jade, but I am the developer. So just to address a couple of the things that have come up. The laydown area has all been cleaned up and we have no intention of utilizing that space any longer for storage of materials. So that should be good. Also, I would point out that there are large underground stormwater storage system in this development. So majority of the stormwater is actually being carried underneath the road systems and underground storage tanks, which is why we have the pervious concrete, which is why we were also able to really design this over and above the minimum requirements that the city of Gulf Shores had at that time. So just wanted to point that out too, that that's there. And with respect to the maintenance and ongoing, we've been trying to work very closely with city staff to make sure that happens. We've made sure everything stayed cleaned out when needed with pump trucks, whatever we need to do to make sure that that all operates well. So I would like to take a matter of privilege while I have the microphone for a few minutes to thank the staff. They've been fantastic to work with. It's really refreshing. Not every municipality we work in is accommodating. And so they've been strict and firm, but they've been very fair. So we're very gracious for their support from Mel to Andy, and the entire team have been great. So I would offer that prior to the vote.
Thanks,
Happy to
Scott.
answer any other questions if I missed anything.
Anybody got any questions for the developer up here? Thank you, Scott. Mel, we now open up the public hearing. If anybody would like to address this Development, please give us your name and address.
Tom Finley, 16280 Brigadoon Trail on the Fort Morgan Highway. The questions I'm going to ask you will tie into these units and plus others being built on the Fort Morgan Highway. I'd like to see a show of hands from all of y'all that you feel there's safety issues on the Fort Morgan Highway due to traffic volume. If you'd raise your hand if you believe that's a true statement. None of you think there's any safety issues on the Fort Morgan Highway?
That's kind of an open-ended
Yeah, I
question.
think I know.
Yeah, it is.
Question.
You're right, it's
More
open-ended.
specifics on
Yeah,
that.
you're asking us to
make a
to
decision.
answer and make statements of things that one, it's an opinionated, none of us are qualified to make that assessment. So you're asking us to go on public record to make a safety requirement where none of us up here are qualified to do that scenario. So we appreciate the question.
Yes, sir.
However, what you're trying to do is entrap us into.
No,
doing
I'm not
something
trying to
we cannot
entrap
do.
anybody.
So we understand.
No, I was
where
in
you're
an
trying to go with,
accident
so
today.
let's continue with our meeting with what we can do today.
I understand. And I've been in front of you before, and the 79 units that were in front of Brigadoon Trail, you decided not to proceed with that because there were safety issues on the Fort Morgan Highway.
Correct.
And the reason I bring that up is because the traffic has continued to increase day by day there, and it is a safety issue. And I need to know how many more units are like these 40 units that you're going to add that's going to increase the safety of this highway. You know, if you go on the internet, and I know AI is not correct on everything it states, but if you Google, is the Fort Morgan Highway a safe road to travel? It says, the city of Gulf Shores lowered the speed limit from 55 to 45 and from 45 to 35 close to Highway 59, specifically because of the increase in the number of accidents. The road is considered dangerous and heavily traveled, with serious and sometimes deadly accidents occurring. Fox 10 also reported on this back in February. I live there. It has affected our way of life. I was in an accident today. I wasn't coming. I promise I wasn't. I told my wife I'm not going to go because I'll get upset. At 2:30, a car pulled in front of me trying to turn left, pulling maintenance wagon with it, with all the lawnmowers and all that stuff, right in front of me. I'm driving the speed limit. Absolutely the speed limit, because I live there and I know what happens. He pulled right in front of me. He ran into a tree. I missed the wagon this far. It's just, it has to stop until someone, 4 lanes, 180. And if it doesn't get 4 lane, one of you stated when I came up in front of you back in February that y'all, you know, that's hard to do. The TDO, Alabama Department, ADOT, I used to live in TDOT, but ADOT, has that, and it's a state highway. I understand that. And somebody said, well, what do you want us to do? Stop building? Heck yeah. That's exactly what we want you to do. That's what you should do because it's not safe. That's all we ask. If you 4-lane that road, you won't see me up here again. Y'all do a great job. I'm not here to entrap you, Fallon. I promise you, I'm not. That's not that's the furthest thing from my mind. I just want a safe highway. And the inconvenience, I can live with some of that, but not the way it is now. You can't turn left, no matter where you are, without it being a safety issue. And, you know, yeah, I can wait to go to Dollar General 100 yards down the road, 30 minutes or whatever. It's that bad, the traffic. I can't imagine this summer. And the other thing was, y'all hired a consultant. This ties into it too. You said you hired a consultant to measure the traffic. And I asked, what was the number of cars or automobiles that traveled down Fort Morgan Highway that the consultants would have considered it dangerous? What's the number? And you said there was 22 pages in that report and you would have to look it up. Did anybody ask or follow up with that to know that number? What's the number? Because that should be brought up on every time you have an additional subdivision to divide, that you go do another study to see if it passed that number. You took our money and paid for that consultant. Well, I'd like to know what the heck you got out of it. What's the number? And I can hire my own. I'm not a rich man, but I will do it because I've got financial backing on this deal to go out and hire my own consultants. Once you tell me what the number was they came up with, I'd like to know that number.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Please.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank
Anybody else like to come?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
My name's Curtis Lehman. My address is 1135 Quail Run West, as newly mandated by the Baldwin County 911 Commission. I am a member of the Oyster Bay Village Board. I am referencing the preliminary plat dated December 17th, 2024, and the subdivision regulations for the city of Gulf Shores. Several concerns here, but number one comes back to the buffer conversation. In the plat, there is, in the preliminary, it calls out a 10-foot landscape buffer planted with trees and so forth, 10-foot landscape buffers. Here is my point. A portion of the perimeter buffer is required to be a Class A buffer along St. Andrew by the Sea and Whitehaven entrance, but no reference to Oyster Bay Village, which was incorporated, by the way, back in the 1980s. We would seek the same protection for our village. That point made. Next subject. Retention. Again, referring to the flat, it says that there are, when it comes to stormwater drainage, 4 dry retention areas plus underground storage basins and the pervious paving. There are 3, plus the underground. And the pervious paving is a portion of one alleyway, not the entire alleyway, a portion of it. So this is concerning. I made a quick tour of it yesterday. The drainage, absolute overflow in that major event is drainage pointed directly at our village where there's no drainage area for it, meaning they're going to flood us. So the damage we had prior, by the way, was not rising water. It was water moving due to lack of proper drainage. So your concerns that were voiced are very legit, and we would like to see those addressed. Moving on. Garbage collection. You brought this up. You said that these are private streets and alleyways. I see nothing for the garbage collection. Where will those go? Are they going to back up to us? The church? Whitehaven? It should not. We've been there, incorporated since 1980. All we ask is a little respect. It's not too much to ask for. Okay? By the way, those private streets have green street signs on them. When Baldwin County made us change, we paid for our own street signs because it's private streets. The city did help. Thank you very much. But we shouldered the cost of it. Why are they getting preferential treatment? I'm concerned about the laydown area. I'm going to let that go. We talked about garbage collection, buffer zone, retention, lastly, lighting. So when you look at this, if you could bring up the plat.
Sir, your time limit's up. Sir.
My apologies.
That's okay.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You come to the mic, ma'am, so everybody can hear you.
Old lady who lives at Oyster Bay Village. My concern is we are on Oyster Bay. If there's no gate and there's no fence from the front of us, those people, if they have children or whatever, they just walk right in and they're doing it right now. They just come in, park their car at our clubhouse and walk down to the Oyster Bay. We don't, if somebody gets hurt, who's responsible?
You are.
We are. I think the builder should have to put a fence up and a gate. That's what I think, because it's not our fault that they decided to do this. And I don't think we should have to pay for all this stuff, at least help us pay for it. because somebody's gonna get hurt. And if a kid goes down there on that, and we got this boardwalk going all the way to the bay, and there's alligators in there and snakes, and we got wild animals, Lord only knows what could happen. We don't wanna sue the city.
Yes, ma'am.
What's your name, please? Ma'am, what's your name, please, for the record? What's your name for the record? What's your last name?
Nutella, Nuottila.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Margaret Campbell, 2225 Bluebird Lane, South Oyster Bay Village. I too serve on the board of Oyster Bay. As far as the lighting goes, we would like to propose a 12 to 8 foot. The proposed, yeah, 12 to 18 foot poles. And we would like to propose 18 feet on the line because of the houses that are right next to where the lighting is going to be. It's going to be shining in everybody's bedroom.
Okay, so go ahead. I'll let you do that.
I apologize. So they approved 2 sizes, 18 and 12.
Right.
18 foot go on the alleyways, which is the entrance to their townhomes. This alleyway to the north side directly abuts Oyster Bay Village. So we'll have 18 foot lights along that line. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
And my other question was, these townhomes are going to be sold with fee simple lot and land?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so therefore, according to, they will have a board of directors also, or an HOA.
I would assume so. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So they are saying that they will take short-term rentals. We are not allowed to have short-term rentals, according to the HOAs and Gulf Shores.
I'm not sure today.
I don't know what the zoning.
I don't.
Property zone general business, it does allow short-term rentals.
Business, what, will you repeat that, please?
The property zone general business, it allows short-term rentals.
Okay, we're a 55 and older community. We're not going to be able to withstand all of the children, all of the weekend people that are going to be coming in if it's on a short-term basis. When this proposal was first put up in 2022, there was no lien for a short-term rental. They were all going to be long-term.
We can't.
I don't
do
believe it. My recollection is was not conditioned on only long-term rental. It was just went by the underlying zoning, which was general business.
Would you mind checking it and letting me know? Because I'm 97% sure that we were told in this room that there would be no short-term rentals.
I'd be glad to. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Also, ma'am, you might want to talk with your board and put a fence up. You're not a fence up, but a gate if you want to control who's coming in and out of your complex. A lot of complexes are doing that. They're putting these gates up, and that will hopefully may help.
If we put a gate up, I mean, we're going to have to put a gate up, and we've been there 46 years, and we're going to have to put a gate up for a new development, which was no fault of our own.
No, but
then they ought to incur some of the cost of that gate, because a gate is going to cost us $25,000.
Well, like I said, I'm just giving you recommendations. I'm not
Right.
telling you got to do that. I'm just saying, I'm offering you some type of solution. That's all.
So I'm not trying to be hard about this, but every time someone comes into our property from this development, once it's in full swing, we will call the police for them to come take this person away. Is that our option?
Yes, ma'am. I guess you could.
Okay.
That's right. If the property's properly posted, sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's properly posted now.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Okay. Yes, sir.
I'm Royce Halstead. I'm representing the neighbor to the west, St. Andrew by the Sea.
Yes, sir.
Community Church. And I guess we just wanted to get clarification on the landscape plan. I think it's been revised very recently.
It's not been revised recently. It's the same that was approved back in 2022. If we can pull up the slides, I do have a diagram of the
Thank
required landscaping on a portion of the property. So this is kind of along the south side of the property and west side of the property. It is required a Class A landscape buffer with a privacy fence with columns every 50 feet, and then landscaping on the exterior of the fence, which will be next door to the St. Andrew by the Sea Church, as well as Whitehaven Insurance.
So that means the fence will actually not be on the property line in order to allow.
It'll be interior to the property line, and then the landscaping will be on the exterior of the fence.
And obviously with associated irrigation.
Yes, sir.
ample
Yes, sir.
irrigation. Will the finished side of the fence be on the west side?
The finished side of the fence will be on the west side. Yes, sir.
The other question I had, I think you answered it, but all the stormwater can be retained on the property, excepting a 100-year storm. Is that right?
That's the way the plans were approved. Yes, sir.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Thanks for your input, sir. Anybody else? Okay. In the essence of time, I'm going to close the public hearing, Mel, and the chair will entertain a motion.
I do want to make one comment. Mr. Lehman, you asked several good questions about site plan items that aren't on this drawing today because we're not really addressing those, but the trash, the stormwater, everything you mentioned was addressed at that time when this was approved. I imagine they'll be doing rollout containers for individual units, so there won't be, just like you do at your homes, there won't be dumpster locations backing up to anybody, but all of those questions you asked, they were addressed when that project was approved, and we will ensure that those are adhered to at the approval.
Can we ask for consideration of the Class A fence to also come on our site, please? Is there any reason not to?
What in our ordinance drives the difference between those two buffers being
It's
different?
typically land uses. And again, I don't have the original approval in front of me, but my guess is on next door to Whitehaven Insurance, you've got a business use versus next door to what's going to be a townhouse development. It's probably more buffering the townhouses from the business use there, and then my guess is next to the church, I think the church is classified as an institutional use, so I'm guessing that the buffer required there was because of the difference in uses. And there is a landscape buffer required adjacent to Oyster Bay Village, but it must not have been a Class A buffer. It probably would have been your standard 5-foot buffer, which is 1 tree and 4 shrubs every 25 feet, probably because of the similar land use. It's kind of a townhouse project and a multifamily project, because I think Oyster Bay Village is 2 or 3 units usually together. I don't even know exactly what they are, what you classify it as nowadays, but that's what the land uses are. I mean, the buffers are based on existing land use. Yeah. So like if Oyster Bay Village, I'm not sure, it's like attached dwellings, attached single-family dwellings to attached single-family dwellings, which would be a townhouse. There's no additional buffer required. It's just a standard landscaping.
per subdivision regulations for the city of Gulf Shores, Article 6, Design Improvement Standards, Section 6.6, open space landing and buffers, Section E. Fencing on all subdivisions, fencing shall be required along the rear side, 10-foot by landscape strip required by this article. All proposed fencing shall be identified on the preliminary subdivision plan and be consistent with the following design requirements, blah, blah, blah. I don't think we're asking for too much. It's the only thing we've asked for. We haven't got anything.
Okay, I think we've discussed this sufficiently. The chair will entertain a motion. Oyster Bay Townhomes subdivision.
Chairman, I will make a motion that we approve the Oyster Bay Landing final subdivision plat with staff recommendations.
We got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carried. All right, next, Village at Brights Creek subdivision final plat.
So, Mr. Chair, before, so I wasn't on the planning commission back in 2022, but I know that all of those issues that were brought before this group were brought up by public, brought to this body debated and went through the process and made sure to make the proper decisions at that time. And our role here today was simply the final plat to be able to allow this project to continue as it was approved 4 years ago. So our hands are a little bit tied in what we can really do today. That was all
We got off track a
approved
little bit. Yeah, we got off
4
track.
years ago. That all
Was
went
approved.
before this body and was approved.
Capacity increase under the site plan creation.
So I hope the public doesn't think that we just didn't listen, but you know, all of that 4 years ago was developed
Already-
and brought out and flushed
already
through and
approved.
debated, and it
built
was
to what was
approved, and the
approved.
developer moved forward for 4 years of development
Right.
with the rules in place, and so
Yeah, maybe we didn't make that clear enough, yeah.
And Andy, just for clarification, and for some of us that are up here that were not on the planning commission then, and also for some of those in the audience, I know that this was approved in 22. I believe shortly after that, there was a moratorium on townhomes and some changes were made. Is that correct?
Oh, there was a moratorium on multifamily probably shortly thereafter. I think townhomes probably was excluded from that
Not in there?
moratorium.
Okay, and I know some changes have been made, of course. You mentioned in the BG districts, it's conditional use permit now, and before it was by right. So that is one thing that's in place going forward, that we can exclude some of these short-term rentals in places they shouldn't be.
Yes.
I just wanted to
There's
clarify that.
substantial changes been made to the zoning ordinance since 2022 to address some of these comments, but Mr. Brown is correct. You know, all three of these IDA applications, including the next one, received preliminary subdivision plat approval, which allow the developer to go out and build the subdivision in accordance with the approved preliminary plans. Now they're simply coming back for final subdivision plat to confirm that what they constructed matches the approved preliminary plat. And that's really what the planning commission is up here to do for all three of these applications tonight. It'd be kind of tough to, honestly, it'd probably be tough to add conditions to some of these, especially like the last one when part of it got approved through site plan approval that addressed the landscaping, the garbage, the drainage, and all of that, the normal stuff. Then they came back for preliminary plat approval. Now they're coming back for final plat approval. So it's a very, the first two are very interesting. The next one will be a little more straightforward in that they got approved for preliminary subdivision plat approval. Now they're coming for final subdivision plat approval. And it is a single family lot subdivision.
Okay. Yeah, on the line, the developer would like to make a comment. Go ahead, sir.
I was just gonna say, I don't think the intention is to short-term rent any of these. They're all been changed to fee simple lots to be sold as individual units to property owners. I certainly can't control whether or not they choose to do that as an investment, right, and begin to rent them, but the HOA regulations are all there. I don't think the intent is to necessarily market these as short-term vacation rentals. One thing I was going to offer to our neighbors is, we can put some rules and regulations within the HOA that, prohibit them from going onto that property in the back. I've never known that to be an
That'd be a
issue.
good idea.
But we can do that to sort of make it known that it's just strongly discouraged. Of course, again, I can't control people from walking back there, but, certainly we can do some of that sort of stuff to be a good neighbor to them. So, but the garbage collection, you're right, it's all single can. We eliminated the dumpster thing. So anyways, I know it's all maybe a moot point at this point with this group, but, for what it's worth, that's where we are. So
Can there be a restriction in there for the short-term rental to have a minimum?
I don't think I can do that. That would probably be a deed restriction. And I don't think I can do that from a property right standpoint, so I'm not sure I
The
legally.
HOA can.
The HOA
The HOA can. So if
HOA
you
could
want to
do
put it
that,
in there
yeah.
for the HOA, it could be put in.
Or a 30-day rental or a 7-day rental restriction
Yeah.
or something.
Certainly.
Okay.
I don't see that as being a huge short-term rental
I mean,
location, but
it's not like we have big amenity over there with a lazy river and a clubhouse to enjoy, so I don't know how much vacation rental would be overly attractive, but
Yeah, it would not be a destination for family vacationers.
no, I don't think so. Wasn't intended for that. So anyways, thank you
Thank
all.
you,
I
Scott.
appreciate
Thank you for the
Yeah.
input. All right. Village at Brights Creek. Any? Please explain what we're here today to do, like you did.
Yes, sir. Very similar to the previous applications. This is a final subdivision plat for the village at Brights Creek. They seek approval for a 76-lot, single-family subdivision. Here are the location maps. This property is on Oak Road West to the northwest of the city's sportsplex, highlighted in red. Property is currently zoned, a portion of the property is R3 multifamily residential, and the other half of the property is R14 single-family residential. Couple of photographs of the existing conditions. Again, received preliminary subdivision plat approval. Contractor went out and built the subdivision. Now they're here for final subdivision plat approval. So the pictures you see are what has been constructed as of today's date. Worth probably pointing out the split zoning on this because it is a little bit of an oddity. Usually properties don't have, or developments don't have split zoning, but the eastern half is R3 multifamily residential, the western half is R14. The applicant in the past did try to do some multifamily on the R3. Staff worked with them to discourage that type of development there, and they agreed to develop it all with single-family residential lots. So, for example, the by right allowable density on this property is 299 dwelling units, and they're only building 76 single-family lots, so it's worth noting. We did advertise this application in accordance with subdivision regulations. We did receive petitions from 8 residents that were opposed to the application. Background on this application: they received preliminary subdivision plat in November of 2023. More recently, back in October of 2025, the Planning Commission granted a 12-month extension for the Brights Creek preliminary subdivision plat after numerous hearings. It's worth noting that all conditions, there were a list of conditions with preliminary subdivision plat approval, as well as a list of conditions with the preliminary plat extension. All of those conditions have been addressed and completed with this final plat application, with a couple conditions that are still left. But so again, the process: the applicant receives preliminary subdivision plat approval. They go out and build the subdivision in accordance with the plans that were approved of preliminary subdivision plat. At this point, they're coming back for final subdivision plat approval, and it's the Planning Commission's responsibility to confirm that what has been built complies with the preliminary plat. If this preliminary or final subdivision plat is approved, it allows the applicant to record the subdivision and create legal lots. Just an overview of what was approved of the preliminary plat. And what they're asking for today, the property's 43 acres, will be developed with only single-family houses, 76 lots. The lot sizes range from just over 9,000 square feet to 19,000 square feet. All of the lot sizes, setbacks, and lot widths comply with the underlying R3 and R14 zoning regulations. 14% of the subdivision is open space. They did obtain a couple of waivers at preliminary subdivision plat. The waivers that they obtained were to allow the street trees to be placed within the rights-of-way, reduce the sidewalk width from 6 feet to 5 feet, which in turn increased the street tree planting buffer. And then on Shoal Lane, there's an existing Shoal Lane that kind of goes through some existing, I think, duplexes. The applicant asked for and was granted only to put a sidewalk on one side of Shoal Lane. So the final plat does comply with the plans that were approved at preliminary subdivision plat. And you see the final plat diagram on the right-hand side of the screen. Roadway construction is consistent with the approved plans and has been inspected probably numerous times by the city engineering department. There are 2 points of ingress, egress to Oak Road West, one from Brights Creek Drive and the other one from the existing Shoal Lane. Again, Shoal Lane has been improved to city standards. All the new streets within Brights Creek are platted within 50 feet public rights-of-way. They include 10 feet travel lanes, 7-foot landscape strip, and 5 feet sidewalks. A condition of preliminary subdivision plat approval was for the applicant to dedicate an additional 10 feet of right-of-way along Oak Road West. That has been dedicated. The reason for that condition is in case the city ever has to make upgrades to Oak Road West, we potentially will need additional right-of-way, so they complied with that requirement. When this application was reviewed and approved at preliminary subdivision plat, there was a traffic impact study required. That traffic impact study, one of the things that it did require is to reconstruct and reconfigure the intersection of Oak Road with Turpin Lane. That intersection has been reconstructed and reconfigured as required by Baldwin County Engineering Department, and Baldwin County Engineering Department has approved the construction of that intersection. The reason it was reviewed and approved by Baldwin County is that portion of Oak Road West and Turpin Lane is not a city street. It's under the authority of Baldwin County. Another requirement of the traffic impact study was for the applicant to pay a $153,000 fee that will go toward improvements to Oak Road West and the Oak Road West Highway 59 intersection. They have paid that fee prior to final plat approval. Pedestrian and bicycle facilities, 5-foot wide sidewalks have been constructed within the portions of the rights of way that abut common areas. They propose to bond the sidewalks in front of the individual lots until the houses are built. Then they'll build the sidewalks after the houses are built. The reason a lot of the developers want to do that is they want to tear it, put the sidewalks in, and then potentially tear them up during house construction. Another requirement of preliminary subdivision plat was in accordance with our master bicycle and pedestrian plan. There's a requirement for a 5-foot wide bike lane along this portion of Oak Road West. Typically, the applicant either build the bike lane or pay a fee in lieu. In this instance, there are no other bike lanes on Oak Road West, so they opted to pay the $21,000 fee, and that was paid prior to or with the final plat application. Again, 14% of the open space, 14% of the subdivision is open space. Basically, there are open spaces throughout the entire subdivision, some on the southern portion of the subdivision, and a common area right in the middle. And then you've got some common areas to the north of the subdivision that abut there's some wetlands up there. Those wetlands have been buffered by the required 30 feet of natural vegetation. And then all of the common areas, they have constructed the sidewalks around all the common areas and within the common areas, and those will be connected to the sidewalks throughout the subdivision. Stormwater drainage, the engineering department has, again, performed numerous on-site inspections of their stormwater management system and reviewed and approved the as-built drawings. And there are a couple photographs of one of the largest retention pond that has been constructed. You can see they provided a sidewalk around it as well. Landscaping complies with the landscaping required by a preliminary subdivision plat, and it has been inspected by the city arborist. They were required, or all subdivisions are required to plant landscaping within a 10-foot landscape buffer along an existing street. They have done that along Oak Road West. So pretty much in this instance, because they preserved a lot of the large oak trees along Oak Road West, they only had to plant the shrubbery required by the subdivision, and the existing trees counted as the required trees. They have also planted street trees within the portions of the right-of-way abutting the common areas. Again, they prefer to bond the street trees in front of existing lots so they don't get damaged during house construction. All of this required landscaping around the stormwater retention areas has been installed. And at the time of preliminary subdivision plat, this is a very heavily wooded subdivision, and they were required to save numerous trees. Many of them are specimen live oak trees. All of those trees have been saved as required by preliminary subdivision plat. As you'll recall, during the preliminary plat extension, the Planning Commission did add a condition in addition to I think it's a Class A buffer along the northern and northwest property lines where the subdivision abuts existing single family. Planning Commission required a privacy fence to be constructed. That fence has been constructed along a majority of that property line. They did not construct the fence next to, I don't know why my font's messed up there, but next to the Mr. Rosenblath's lot, kind of at the very northwest corner. They did not construct that portion of the fence because that fence would have been within probably 2 or 3 feet of his existing house and potentially run through part of his driveway. And it's my understanding Mr. Rosenblatt preferred them not to build that fence. We did have a meeting, on-site meeting scheduled between myself, the city arborist, the developer, and Mr. Rosenblatt. He did not attend the meeting. So that's the reason the fence did not get built in that section. I mean, it's probably within that close to his existing house. So they will just, in a lot of that area just will remain as existing native vegetation. So it does provide a significant buffer there instead of putting a fence 2 feet off of his house. Streetlights have been installed. They're Baldwin EMC Tradition Air fixtures. Department reviews. The engineering department has reviewed and approved the plans as well as inspected the construction of Village at Brights Creek subdivision. The fire marshal has reviewed and conditionally approved the IFC report and construction of the subdivision. Utilities. Gulf Shores Utilities inspected the subdivision and provided the applicant or the developer a punch list. It's my understanding that the developer has completed that punch list and that this application is tentatively scheduled to be accepted by the Gulf Shores Utilities Board at their April 30th meeting. Baldwin EMC has provided a letter indicating that all electrical conduit has been installed. Telecommunications, C Spire Wireless indicates that all of their wireless infrastructure shall be completed by May 31st. And then Riviera Utilities have reviewed and approved the natural gas infrastructure plans for Brights Creek. Again, since this subdivision does have future public streets, the maintenance surety is required. The engineer submitted a cost estimate for all public improvements in an amount of $423,000. They will be required to put up a maintenance surety in an amount of 20% of that number. Performance surety, in this instance, because the applicant has not completed all the landscaping or sidewalks, They will be required to also provide a performance surety. That'll be 150% of the amount of incomplete items, and that comes out to just over $223,000. So staff does recommend approval with 5 conditions. First condition is a performance surety in an amount of $223,000 shall be provided prior to recording the plat. Second condition is a maintenance surety shall be provided in an amount of $423,000 prior to recording the plat. 3, fire marshal shall not sign the plat until all required water service and fire hydrants have been tested and approved by Gulf Shores Utilities. 4, the mail kiosk shall be installed prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy on the first house. 5, prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy on the first house, all stockpiled dirt material shall be removed from the common areas. And the reason for that requested condition is we don't want people moving out into the subdivision and their common areas being covered with stockpiled dirt. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from up here? Is the developer here?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Andy. We don't really have anything further to add, unless you have questions for us. I have the project manager and a member of the development team here.
You're with Dewberry?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you for coming today. Mel, we'll open up the public hearing now and take comments from the people that are here. Anybody like to address this final plat? Yes,
Hey,
sir.
I'm Jacob Clemenson. I'm with 68 Ventures, the developer on this.
Yes.
Really just wanted to make one request regarding the conditions for approval. It's regarding item number 5 with the stockpile. So that stockpile is currently in an approved location per our preliminary plat approval. It was required to be in a common area, and it's our understanding there wouldn't be any ties to a timeline to have it removed. Obviously, from an aesthetic standpoint, we want it removed as soon as possible as well. What we're asking is that the stockpile be removed by the 20th CO to allow the home builder some time to go clear lots, get that dirt moved. Otherwise, we're gonna have to go clear multiple lots that are gonna sit stagnant for some time while it goes vertical.
What's the material gonna be used for? Is that fill material for the
Yes,
homes?
sir. That is stockpiled suitable fill material for lot grading.
Any other questions up here? from the developer? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Can we pull the map of the subdivision back up? I'm sorry, where did y'all anticipate starting construction?
So I'm not with the home builder.
Okay.
They're gonna start a model home, which is, to my best of my knowledge, is gonna be in that southeastern corner if you're looking at this graphic.
Okay, so closest to Oak Road?
Yes, sir.
And your stockpile is in the center common area?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And then you've got one at the common area just off the loop, and then one right at the
There's 2
loop.
more stockpiles, the second one being located on those 3 lots, just south of that traffic circle, at the northern part of this
Mhm.
graphic. The other one being across the street, located on those 4 lots, adjacent to that.
Okay, so basically 2 of them around the circle and then one in the central common
Yes, sir.
area.
So I think the stockpile in question is the one located on the common area central to the site. That would be the first stockpile to go. We'll make sure of it. But again, if it's required by the initial CO, again, we're gonna have to go clear, let's say 20 lots, where the home builder may only be building 3 or 4 houses a month.
And that's so they could get rid of the fill on the 20 lot, put the
Yes, sir.
20.
Yes, sir. And really, the kind of driving force behind this is they don't want to fast track their model homes. So prior to, or post final plat approval, that model home is going to be built in 45 days. And so if they're tied to having to get rid of all this dirt, it's going to delay, them as far as getting started and getting that model home off the 4 steps.
Does our city engineer have anything to say about the request?
The request that they're making is common. I've seen it in other instances. Just, you know, they're stockpiling more dirt than is going to be needed on that first lot, obviously. So to hold them to that on just the first lot, when maybe they need to spread that dirt out over the first 20 homes, as he mentioned, it would make sense, in my opinion, to do that. It's just a matter of then getting that common area landscaped and cleaned up and being able to hold them to that and have that done prior to 2 years from now when we're ready to close out the subdivision. But as long as everything continues to move along, I think a condition along the lines of what was written in there, you know, but based on a certain CO number and then grading or completing the landscaping in that common area would be typical. I've seen that in the past.
Correct. And so a lot of our landscaping required in that performance surety being furnished is located underneath that stockpile. So to release our performance surety from the city, we have to move that stockpile and landscape it anyways. So there's some more assurance that the stockpile will be removed in a timely manner.
So the 20 lots wouldn't be cleared immediately if you were.
No, sir. So they'll, you know, the home builder will go apply for applications. I'm not sure if the city of Gulf Shores has a limit for how many they can go pull on a weekly basis, or
I don't know that we have a set limit. It's just how fast we can review things, but we would not allow them to grade on lots that do not have a building permit issued, which is why, you know, it's tying it to a building permit kind of makes sense.
Okay. Any other folks in the crowd would like to address this subdivision? Yes, ma'am.
My name's Nicole Hemmendinger. I live at 6220 Madison Drive in Summerwood neighborhood. I'm on the board of in that neighborhood as well. And today I'm representing members of our community, over 70 members that have signed our petition against the approval of this plat. These are all homeowners that live within walking distance of this development that do not want this to be approved, have not wanted this to be approved from the beginning. We would like to request the property to be placed into a conservation easement based on the natural wetlands on the property that support and sustain Bright Creek, which is a major point of water flow in the Bon Secours and groundwater aquifer and lines the top of this property. They've already had multiple ADM violations for fertilizer runoff into our water source. They plan to put D.R. Horton homes in every one of the lots. Every one of these lots are filled with protected trees, not just a couple. They're forests of protected trees, live oaks, white oaks, magnolia trees, longleaf pine. These are trees that are essential to our ecological system, essential. And this developer alone has developed over 600 acres of forest on County Road 6 in the last 5 years. This neighborhood is bigger than Summerwood and McNeil Place combined. The animals in the surrounding environment have no place to go. We have fox, deer, bobcats, coyote, hawks, eagles flying through our neighborhoods consistently because they have nowhere else to go. This was the last bit of acreage in that area. They got pushed up into it. The trees are filled with birds that migrate from all over the world to these trees, specifically. Clear-cutting forest in this manner kills 80% of these animals. It causes a decline in soil erosion and a decline in clean drinking water. Our water supply is already overtaxed in this area. We have low water pressure in our homes. It's hard to get the toilets to flush in our homes. We're consistently having issues with our water pressure. We're consistently having issues with the roads. They are dangerous. They said the road was at the end of the road. The turnoff at the end of the neighborhood was complete. They still have the signs out there. Utility workers were out there today saying that it would be another month before it was complete. This development has had issues the entire step, the whole time. There have been multiple work stop orders, multiple engineering failures, multiple violations. They've cut down over 100 of these live oak trees already. All we're asking is for you to protect the environment of this community, the culture, the history that we hold dear to this area. You don't find these forests anywhere else. This is one part of Gulf Shores that still has them, and we would like to keep that. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Afternoon. I'm Jane. I live on George Street. I've been protesting this since day one. I provided y'all with 141 pages of why 2 other communities, and I know I'm repeating myself. 1.1, the fence that was professionally installed on a Sunday afternoon in the rain is leaning and is not put in correctly. 2, the traffic impact study was done before the completion of the boat ramp and all that has been done. There have been 2 serious wrecks with the engineering change at the end of Shoal. In fact, there's a bumper laying in the ditch right now. There have been 3 rear end because they can't turn fast enough and people aren't paying attention. And in this meeting, County Road 6 was supposed to have 4 lane to the Sportsplex by spring of 26. We're almost done. That's all I got. And
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. That's okay. You got 3 minutes anyway. Go ahead.
You know, doggone it, I was gonna say something else.
We won't start till you introduce yourself.
How y'all doing? My name's Patrick Payne. I live on Booney Lane, 8974 Booney. When this thing, the fence thing came up, I was ticked off because, well, they got rid of like, I think it's 12 fully established azalea bushes along my property. What I thought was my property line, been taken care of since the 80s. Well, they came out and measured, surveyed and whatnot. Supposedly my azalea bushes were half on their property. So rather than give me 3 or 4 inches to save the bushes, they chopped them all down. Okay, they put up the fence. Fence is great. I like the fence. So I got no problems with it at all. But it was just the fact that I lost all these bushes that had been maintained since the 80s. And it was just, to me, it was ridiculous. So I'd have bought 2 feet of land to save the bushes, and they couldn't do it. Okay, that one's done. Nope, I got my fence. It looks pretty. This Turpin, where you turn off on Oak Road to Turpin Lane, I really don't know who owns it or who maintains it. I don't care if it's the city, the state, or whoever. But whoever came out and planned that, their math ain't mathing. It's way too narrow. They sodded it, all looked real nice and pretty. But anybody that's got a trailer, you can't turn the damn thing on it. Just the SUV's hard to maintain what their lines that they put up. I think that needs to be addressed, or it's going to wind up just being a big old mud hole. And it just, I don't know what they did. You have to stop literally now on Oak Road to turn in there, where before you could go straight. Now you're going to have rear end accidents. That's all I got. Just a short bitch.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
I think that the one thing that's what I was going to ask.
Okay, so he said
okay.
Okay.
I drive a Jeep Wagoneer. I have tried doing it at 5 miles an hour. I still can't stay in the lane or between the lines. What I would ask is, I mean, I know I can't stop this construction happening, and I live on stilts, so I get to see everything. But just construction trucks going in there on top of our traffic on our own road. I mean, can the construction vehicles just use the other entry point for the subdivision? Because Turpin Lane is not working.
Can you come to the mic, please?
Okay.
Thank you.
You need to be at the mic. Just
And state your name and address.
Everybody can hear you.
Christy Snyder, 18922 Booney Lane.
Okay. And your main?
It's the Turpin Lane. I mean,
Turpin
it's
Lane.
awful. It's absolutely awful. And so when I think of them moving forward with these houses being built, I mean, I can't stop this subdivision from happening now. But construction vehicles and our traffic on Turpin Lane, not happening. I drive a Jeep Wagoneer and I cannot stay between the lines.
That's something we could probably ask the developer if he would be willing to do that. That's something that's.
Just use the other entry
the other
point, not
entrance or
Shoal Lane.
Construction entrance like we do some of the D.R. Horton subdivisions. Is that a possibility or not?
So Turpin Lane, it was reviewed, the plans were designed, reviewed, and approved by Baldwin County. We have
Oh,
very,
I understand
we have
that.
very limited, there's very limited, really impact the city can do at this point because we don't control it. I mean, I mean, I've driven out there. It's not the best looking design. I'm not an engineer, but, our hands are a
I
little
get
bit
it.
tied, you know, because,
There's definitely going, what I'm
it was
saying,
reviewed
there-
and
you will
approved.
have issues.
Yeah,
because
and the
there
developer
are
submitted it.
Construction
and
vehicles there.
I know, I mean, I've seen it, but
So maybe in concert, residents can write a letter and contact the county and the county and complain to them about it. And we in our engineering department who work closely with accounting can make sure that there's understanding that there's a
happens, yeah.
problem with this design. Now, where that goes, I don't know, but,
Sure.
you know, if that's an issue, you know, probably needs to be reviewed.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad enough just with the apartments and then the houses on George Street,
Get it.
but you just throw in D.R. Horton, who I don't know. I can't wait to watch them build this because watching 68 Ventures was really epic. But it's just gonna be not a great show.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else?
I think to address one of the things that she was asking if construction for the homes could utilize the east entrance instead of going to Turpin Lane or Shoal Lane. I think that's what she was asking, and I think that would be up to the developer, D.R. Horton, would it not? There's nothing in our,
I mean, I know in the past we've created construction entrances and things of that nature and required different things of different developers. I mean, I can't think of a specific one, but I know we've done some of that in the past.
Villages of Craft Farms.
Just pull up a chair, Jenny.
Yeah, we have made that stipulation for other developers in the past and other home builders based on the layout of their project and talking to them. I'm very hesitant to put something out there like that, especially because some of these homes are specifically on one side of the site and some on the other side, and I don't really know their construction phasing or their construction plans. So to dictate their means and methods for constructing these homes when we don't understand how they're going to construct these homes and don't have that full story, I would have a hard time recommending that. I mean,
It makes sense.
I think the developer, at the end of the day, the home builder is going to do what makes sense for their construction and their traffic. And if their construction traffic can't make the turn, they're probably going to choose a different route to enter their site. But I do think that the city, in coordination or in concert with the residents, can work with Baldwin County to see what we can do about Turpin Lane. Because it was approved by them. It's really in their court. But we can certainly reach out to their engineering department as well.
Well, and it was a great comment by Grant too, because I do think we can have influence there, and the letters from citizens would certainly demonstrate to the county that there is an issue there and that we're supporting that issue. And, so I understand what you're saying about the construction entrance, and except in the case where we may determine that to be a more safe environment to go on the east side. But so hopefully we can evaluate that and evaluate with the county and lean on our relationship there see if there's more that can be done to that intersection there at Turpin.
They're probably not aware of this. you know. So,
Yeah. Just to add from personal experience, I did turn in there today just to inspect the site. And when I made that turn, I did have to slow down. And by the time I made the turn and was on the road, I looked up and I was in the other lane because it turns back that hard. So it is problematic.
It's a tricky intersection.
Okay, all right. Okay, I think we've discussed this. Yes, ma'am? Come up, I'm sorry. You need to come up so everybody can hear you. Including everybody that's watching online.
My name is Betsy Dozier, and I live at 6505 George Street. On the way, and I don't know exactly how to explain this, but adjacent to the 68 Ventures is a development that seems to have just collapsed. I think it was meant to be an RV park or.
Yes, ma'am, that is,
County.
so that property is in the county, and I believe it was slated to be an RV park, and it kind of has collapsed, like you said. They have made application to annex it into the city. But if the city does annex it in, it would be a single-family zoning district, not an RV park.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, Mel, please close the public hearing. And the chair will entertain a motion and maybe try to mention regarding the situation with the county that maybe with the concerted efforts of all parties, maybe we can address something. Thanks.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Of Jenny? So in the staff recommendations, prior to the issuance of the first certificate of occupancy, all stockpile dirt shall be removed from common areas. I'm sympathetic to the building schedule as we talked about it, and I think that it should be a little bit more lenient. Would it be prior to the issuance of the 10th building permit pulled? Would it be?
I think leaving the language tied to the certificate of occupancy because they can't place dirt until the building permit has been issued. So if you're tying it to a certificate of occupancy of the X number of permit, you pick what number you feel is appropriate. But the way that the language is written prior to CO is probably the easiest way to keep that.
But as we consider that leniency, it's not, to me, it's not just about builder convenience. Because our ordinance says until they submit a building permit and a plat, we're not going to let them clear the trees because we've got our tree ordinance to help protect the trees. So we don't allow that till the permit is submitted. So we help kind of place each house and we don't allow the grading of the lot. So our ordinance, while trying to protect trees and manage, limit mass grading and storm runoff, we do kind of have that boxed in there that we can't allow them to clear 20 lots to put the dirt on the lots. So
You're saying we cannot?
we cannot allow them to clear 20 lots to go ahead and place that dirt and get it out of the stockpile because the ordinance won't allow it. So, I mean, I think they're motivated to get it out of there. They can't get their $223,000 maintenance bond released till they get the landscaping done. And if it's calculated that it's 20 lots to get that dirt moved, then if we're going to consider it moving, then we may ought to consider that.
I think we should use a number for the approximate number of.
Would 20 be a good number? I mean, is.
Yeah, so out there right now, it's approximately 4,500 to 5,000 yards of dirt. There's lots of maybe 1,500 yards depending on that specific block grading plan. So 20 COs really allows us to get all that stored material laid down appropriately.
And you'll start with that center common area.
Yes.
All right.
Another question for the developer. The discussion about the construction entrance. Can you weigh in on that? has there been, has there been conversation with the homeowner developer, or the home developer? Because you know, I'm sympathetic also to the people who live on Shoal Lane in those homes that are gonna have the traffic going back and forth. If there's an alternate way for that not to be imposed upon them, that might be.
Yeah, and I understand their concerns too. I'm not sure that I can restrict the home builder once we no longer own that property to not use public right of way, but I can certainly make that request to them and express the concerns stated here, and see if they're willing to work with us on that.
George, are you gonna require 2 points of egress when they get to 30 homes anyway? Is that your cut?
They already have 2 points of access, so they'll keep,
So that, yeah,
That's
the
exact-
vehicular traffic will maintain that access, we're just talking about construction.
yeah, and we would not allow one of those to be completely blocked off for fire and safety reasons.
We're completely open to, I agree with the Turk Lane turn, feeling that's hazardous. We'll glad to send a letter regarding that also.
Yeah, and I think there's been a fair point too, with the radius of that turn. It's gonna be hard for construction traffic to turn in there anyways. So I would assume, speaking more towards 18-wheelers when they're bringing in framing, they'll be using that County Road 6 entrance.
Thank you.
Yep. All good questions. Okay. Need someone to make a motion.
Our verbiage here. I make a motion that we approve Diligent Brights Creek final subdivision plat with staff recommendations, however, amending that the dirt piles, stockpiles shall be removed by the 20th by the 20th CO.
I second that.
20th.
20th CO. I have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Got a motion and a second. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Approved. All right, we have one more, item of business today. Article 616, outdoor seating for restaurants, zoning text amendments, ZTA 2601.
Yes, sir.
Scott, this is you.
As you'll notice, our standard practice is Andy gets the long, difficult items and I get the quick, easy ones. So I'll let everybody clear out of the. It's to our ability, you know. So the fourth and final item on your agenda is a staff-initiated proposal to amend the zoning ordinance, a zoning text amendment. This one is for Article 6, supplementary regulations, Section 6-16, pertaining to outdoor seating for restaurants. So on the screen right now is the current zoning ordinance. And 6-16, really, it mainly deals with parking or parking and outdoor seating for restaurants. Subsection B references awnings, and then it directs you to 6-3. So on the right side is existing 6-3. It talks about awnings that can cover this outdoor seating areas for restaurants. And you'll see it says awnings shall be constructed of fire-resistant vinyl, fabric, or canvas, and there's a lot of more regulations. And that's great. We don't really want to modify that. We discussed maybe changing this whole section, but we just want to leave the awning section alone. And the proposal is to modify that 6-16 subsection B. So the proposal on the screen now is the modification to that. So just remove the reference to the awning section 6-3. And allow more permanent structures. So it's fairly straightforward and simple, but within the BG, the general business, the tourist business, and the ICW zoning districts to allow these structures or coverings over the outdoor dinings. They may be attached to the principal building or they may be freestanding. They shall only be covers, so there are no walls associated with these, or at least not permanent walls, but you may have removable transparent vinyl or plastic. This mirrors the awning section, so again, it's kind of already there, as approved by the building department, of course, and fire codes. No structure shall be closer than 5 feet to any property line. That structure shall maintain or complement the appearance of the principal building in colors, materials, architectural style. That kind of mirrors the accessory structure language. So like, accessory structure to a commercial building shall maintain or complement the colors, material, architectural style of the principal building. And then lastly, that structure must be permitted and shall comply with all the applicable codes, such as building codes, fire codes, but also they have to keep in mind the health codes, ABC regulations, alcohol, things like that. So again, fairly simple, but we wanted to make this available. The idea in the general business, tourist business, and ICW zoning districts is these are typically closer. They have more pedestrian traffic. So think about Gulf Shores Parkway, East Beach, West Beach. You have those sidewalks, pedestrian traffic. This is another way to activate and create some more interaction between the pedestrian traffic and the restaurants, and also take advantage of the weather we have. I mean, lately it's been really nice to sit outside, but you still may want some protection from the elements, from the sun, from our friendly wildlife. So again, we have a lot of places that have outdoor seating, but we want to give this option so they can have covered seating, maybe make it a little more comfortable and safe. These are just some pictures I took. Not spoken to these, but like I say, these are just illustrative images. So this is known as Pizza down there on, I guess, 12th Avenue and Gulf Shores Parkway. That's an awning. That's a cloth awning. But again, it allows that outdoor space to be better utilized, and it's close to the sidewalks. This is just a block north at the yogurt shop. They don't have any kind of awning or covering. They just have these umbrellas for their outdoor dining. Again, potentially a spot where they've not spoken to me, but where they may want an outdoor covering that's a little more substantial than one of those cloth awnings. And these are just some images I took from the internet of, potential covering structures that may be constructed. Now so the requirement is complement or maintain the architecture of the principal building. So it could be an extension of the building that's open, or we would interpret that to allow something like these kind of flat aluminum roofs, kind of plain and simple, but we would typically interpret that to be complementary to a principal structure's architecture. So again, here's the language before you. The staff recommendation is to approve. And as a reminder, zoning text amendments are like rezonings. Planning Commission takes action. We send that report to City Council, and Council will be the final decision maker on amending the ordinance. I'm happy to answer any questions and have further discussion.
So are we adding more seating, more square footage? Like if the ABC board says we approve this liquor license for 500 seats, and all of a sudden we're gonna add 75 more seats outside, is that gonna be figured in when you're figuring this? Or does it matter?
So the outdoor seating requirements are still there as far as parking and everything.
Okay.
So we're not modifying that at all. If
You're
you
not
already,
adding square footage. I mean, you're not adding more to where they can seat more customers or under their.
24.
correct, yeah. So we're not adding any additional seats that are not already allowed.
Okay.
All this is if you have the outdoor seating or it's allowed, you can put a more
cover it.
permanent
Put a
cover.
cover it.
on it.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Gotcha. Thanks.
What was the conversation about up to 24 outside dining seats may be permitted without any additional parking facilities?
Yeah, let me back up to the current language.
It looked like the seats were being added to the business, and if it's not over 24 seats, it doesn't trigger any parking stuff.
Correct. Yeah, and that's existing language that's on the screen now. So yeah, you can do the 24 without triggering additional.
That all
parking requirements.
exists.
That all exists. Nothing's proposing to change.
So that exists.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Yeah. So the only thing we're changing
It's just
on the
awning.
screen is that awning section. to allow the more
Okay.
permanent. So no change in parking.
It's all about the awning.
Yes, sir. That's the only change.
I-
So if it's allowed, if it's already exists, or if it's already allowed, they want to take advantage of it. Now they can put a cover, maybe a little more substantial than a cloth awning, again, to take better advantage of the outdoor dining opportunities.
How does this factor into the setbacks? Because 5 foot from the property line, could that be in a required setback or not?
Yes, this would be allowed because it's a structure. Now, one thing that, or it's not a building, one thing that we would have to make sure they do comply with is landscaping, potential landscaping interference. There's some allowance to reduce your landscape buffer on the front, so it is possible. It shouldn't create a conflict.
It seems like the original Orchard House, there's a little bar that's right next to that. They've been adding places to sit on the bottom floor. for
Yes,
the
sir.
parking, yeah. So,
No, I say, and I think
I'm not singling them
outdoor
out, I'm
dining
just
is
saying.
great. You know, in the like recently, it's been great. You know, sometimes it gets a little hot and rarely gets too cold to sit outside. But again, it just makes it a little more comfortable, I think, for to take advantage of the environment and the weather we have here.
Okay. Y'all got any questions?
I've chased off almost everybody in the audience.
Oh, I totally
Anybody have any
misread
questions up here? All right.
I'll make a motion, we approve the zoning.
This is a public hearing, we got.
Oh, yes, sir.
Oh,
we
I'm
do.
sorry.
That's okay. Anybody out here?
Would you
wanna
like to
make a-
speak, sir?
like to speak?
Since you asked.
About awnings.
Yeah.
About awnings or personal.
Okay. I'll close the public hearing and, well, now we're up to the.
I'll make a motion, we approve zoning text amendment as submitted.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion passes. Get the awnings up. Let's go.
Yes, sir. We'll take this to council.
Okay. Okay. Hearings, anybody out there that would like to address the board that did not get a chance to talk? Yes, sir.
That's good. Michael Detzler, resident, I don't know, 12, 13 years now. I'm out by Bright Creek and I don't have any comments on that one. Just some observations, I guess. Yesterday, city council annexed some property up on County 8 and 59. Just curious in regard to the tree ordinance, is there any kind of, you know, if you want to be annexed, you got to wait 2 years? Like, do they go out and clear the thing? Then they go, okay, it's ready to go. We got that part cared for. Now I'd like to be brought in. The trees are gone. Gone last 90 days or so. Whether that's anything that you guys look at, or is it going to be developers kind of making that decision before we want to get into City Gulf Shores? We want to make sure the property's the way we want it. Because also that RV park that failed, or whatever the hell the thing is, that's directly across from me. Watch that thing go up. They just cleared it and it's vacant now. It's going to stay that way for years and years to come. So that's just a comment. I don't know if you've thought about it, but if I was on the other side of the coin, that's what I'd do. I'd clear the land and then I would come to you versus coming to you and have to deal with the tree ordinance. Had another one too, Andy. What the hell was it? Didn't have to do it. Didn't have to do it twice. Let's just go with that one for now. Oh, pardon? Staff is good. Working with Andy, trying to get light stuff done. One other observation, and it's not necessarily generated to you guys, but CUP, and I like the Galway, by the way, but I think it was restricted to 45 inside, 14 outside. Go there St. Patrick's Day, 300 people easy. Not enough parking for that place. They're everywhere across the street. So just an observation, parking is a huge issue down here. It's getting worse every time. So if you're all looking at letting somebody come in, if they can't accommodate enough places on their own property, please don't approve them. It just pushes the problem to somebody else. It's a big and growing problem. So That's just my observation. After 12 years, this place has changed, and I don't want to say it's for the better as far as traffic and parking goes. So appreciate all you do.
Good observation.
Thank you. Enjoy your evening. Thanks, Andy.
Take care.
Thank you. Cheers.
Okay, any other business communications from staff?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to give you a quick update on comprehensive plan. So on April 13th, the city council authorized the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Interborough Group, which they're actually headquartered out of Brooklyn, New York. They are the kind of the team lead for the comprehensive plan, and they put together a team. And I'll just quickly kind of tell you who they are. The Tool Design Group, they're a transportation planning firm who will look at, they're one of the large elements we put into the request for the comprehensive plan is a mobility and multimodal transportation element. That's gonna be a really big part of it. So looking at pedestrian, bicycle, and other modes of transportation citywide. So that's a big one. Code Studio will be doing land use and some of the form-based elements. Common Ground is an urban design group out of Tennessee. Wagner and Ball is a landscape architecture firm. I think their office is in Mobile. Randall Gross Development is an economic development and marketing analysis firm. I think they might be in Tennessee as well. And then finally, Impact, which is a local or at least Baldwin County-based public engagement firm. So all of these are they're top-notch, nationally known firms. So we feel like we have been approached with a very good team to put together a very good comprehensive plan. So that, like I said, council just authorized that this month, so it's very new. We'll get with the contract with the consultant and probably lay out a calendar. Planning Commission will be heavily involved. As you know, state code says one of your main responsibilities is to adopt this comprehensive plan. So certainly you'll be a big part of that. Next, subdivision regulations. So we had that work session on the process and procedure section. It's been great. Next big chunk we're looking at is the design section. So lot layouts and like block lengths and open space and buffers and things like that is kind of what we're looking at next. We're working closely with the city engineer. She is recently, and I'll let her speak in just a moment on where she is, but she's working on an engineering manual that will really have more of the technical design. So, you recently adopted a modification to the subdivision regs that talks about the buildup of the road base and thickness of asphalt. That'll get moved into the engineering manual. So the more technical stuff like horizontal curvature and things like that. So the subdivision regs will reference that engineer, you to design it to the engineering manual. So it'll be a little while. We're going to coordinate with them and her team to make sure we're working in conjunction. There's not a lot of duplication or anything. So, but I'll let Jenny kind of talk about where she is on that process. So, thank you.
While Jenny's come up here, I do want to add that Interborough group that was selected. One of the things they really brought to the table over some of the other groups was the amount of time and focus on public input meetings, charrettes, and so this really is a community document when we get done, and that was their specialty, and so that was had a lot to do with, I think, why that group was selected.
Are all these companies gonna be working together in some kind of a way, or each one's gonna?
Yeah,
do their own
they'll
little
work
part, or-
together. Who's the lead? Interborough is the lead company, and so they will kind of coordinate all the other groups, but they will bring all those other groups to the table at the appropriate times, and yes, they will all work together to give us one cohesive document at the end of the day. So we are working on the engineering, design, and construction manual that was approved by council earlier this month. I don't remember. I don't even know what day it is. So we have engaged MP Design Group. They are headquartered in Mississippi. They will be working closely with us on writing some engineering, design, and construction manual and standards. And like Scott mentioned, those are really the technical details that will go hand in hand with the subdivision regulations. So the subdivision regulations will lay out the process and what the project will look like. But the engineering manuals where you'll go to find pavement thickness and concrete strength, and those type of technical details. So we have a heavy focus in that contract with them to look at our stormwater regulations in particular, to make sure that we're sizing all of our stormwater adequately, and also a really coastal resiliency. So they're going to look at, what can we do from a design standpoint, and when we're putting in infrastructure to be good stewards of our land and our coastal environment down here. So we chose MP Design Group in part because they have a strong history in this area. They've done a lot of coastal projects. They're, like I mentioned, headquartered in Biloxi. They do a lot of Gulf Coast projects all the way along the Gulf Coast. So we're looking forward to that. We've had a kickoff meeting with them, and we are going to be meeting with them bi-weekly to continue that process throughout this year.
What about traffic?
Oh yes, traffic will be in there for sure.
Which one of the groups will be doing it?
So that will be in the engineering, design, and construction manual. And so MP Design Group will take the lead on that as well for us from a traffic standpoint. We'll be also rewriting all of our signal regulations, all of our traffic signal stuff. We will probably hire Skipper Consultants. They do a lot of our traffic design review. So we'll have them review this throughout the process. One of the pieces of this engineering design manual as well is public input. And by public, I probably don't mean most of our citizens because it's very technical in detail, but we will reach out to all of the developers and the consulting engineers in the area and who have done work in the city in the last couple of years and make sure they have an opportunity to give us feedback on things. We already have asked for input on things that work well and things that they don't like so that we can take a stab at getting it right, but we'll give them a couple opportunities to review it along the way as well.
Maybe, yeah, there's a way that we make and deal with these, hey, it's checkout time from 10 to 12. Don't come up 59. And there's something else we can do differently,
We're looking at not only timing our traffic signals, for that and other instances, there's a lot of things to take into consideration. But with the comprehensive plan, we'll be doing a multimodal transportation plan. And so that will hopefully help offer up what are some of the north-south corridors that we're looking at, both for vehicles as well as for pedestrians and bikes and golf carts and those sort of issues. So how can we move people north, south, east, west, connect neighborhoods to other neighborhoods, connect people to our businesses, and provide an environment where maybe when you say, hey, let's go out to dinner tonight, you don't say, hey, let's get in the car and drive to dinner tonight. Maybe you find an alternative mode of transportation and you have a safe way to get from point A to point B, whether that's in your car or by another mode of transportation. So we're looking at all of that, and we're looking at all of that in connection with each other through the comp plan, the engineering design standards, and the subdivision regulations.
What about all the new bridges and stuff? Does anybody know when that's gonna be,
The ALDOT bridges?
Yeah, all the bridges we were building on Canal Road. Bridges going into the woods. I don't know where it's going.
So ALDOT is building the new southbound Highway 161, which was recently named Alabama Beaches Parkway. And that is scheduled to be open before Memorial Day weekend. So they're shooting for around May 18th, but don't stick to that date too tight, that they are going to open that southbound lane. In order to get that open, they have to close southbound Foley Beach Express from Coastal Gateway Boulevard south for 3 consecutive days. They're planning to do that work May 12th, 13th, and 14th.
I thought it was the 10th to the 12th.
10 through 12th. They're starting on Mother's Day. Whatever Sunday, Mother's Day, that's the day they're planning to start.
One of these bridges is gonna be southbound, one's gonna be northbound?
Yeah,
How's
so
that gonna
you'll
work out?
come, past Coastal Gateway Boulevard, past the new high school, and when you hit that roundabout, you'll go south on the new bridge, and if you want to come north, you'll go north on the existing Foley Beach Express.
Do you know what they're planning to do with the existing southbound lane south of where we turn off to go south now? How are they gonna go north? Are they gonna shut that 2-lane that currently goes south down, or will it become a park, or will it just be 4 lanes going north?
I'm not 100% sure. I know they have some design details, and they are that's part of the revisions of why they need to shut it all down Mother's Day. is to make those changes in the traffic patterns and move barriers and medians and restripe everything so that they can get it open. And then the pedestrian bridge is also well under construction. It's scheduled to be done near the end of the year. So construction on that's going well. I'm sure you've seen that. The south tower is nearly complete. They moved over and they're working on the north tower. And then they'll come in and build the bridge on the ground on the north side and then slide it out, lift it up and set it into place.
When they do that, I highly recommend y'all watch it.
Yeah.
I watched it when they did it in Foley and it's insane.
Time lapse. And it's
Yeah,
much
it's
bigger
really- Yeah.
than Foley's.
Yeah.
Don't be under it.
Time lapse, do a time lapse camera.
We don't have,
That'd be really good.
not everything, okay?
Yeah, we've got a lot of traffic projects underway and a lot
Really
of stuff
do,
coming forward.
really do.
Hey, could I ask
Maybe
you a
it'll
question?
help us, I don't know. maybe
On the
it'll-
north side of the pedestrian bridge, are y'all planning on putting golf cart parking there? No, any?
I know we are planning on building some parking in that area. I don't know the specifics on the number of spots or exactly the layout of that.
Okay. I'll take a motion to adjourn. Yes, sir.
Just observing here what happened today, I would suggest maybe that there's a devil's advocate, for lack of a better term, for somebody on the front end of these projects, so you don't get the large crowds at the back end. And there's too much momentum downstream, and you guys come out to be like the bad guys. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Somebody go on, what are we doing about all the neighbors, even though they may not be there? Here are the 10 questions I'm gonna be asking 2 years from now. What are we doing about the burns? What about the water? What about the traffic? Et cetera, et cetera.
So I'm new to this, relatively new, and we do that. That's exactly what those, when we do site plan reviews and all those, that's exactly what this board does, is we look at all those things to make sure, putting ourselves in the community's perspective, and that's what our job is to make sure that those projects are done to the best of their ability, best of the ability to make it be a good project.
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, the ladies that were talking about the fence, somebody told them the fence would be there. Just, it seems, when you walk out and see the people, it doesn't go as well as perhaps it could. And I'm not sure, I mean, I'm not putting blame on anyone. Just in the back row, it's kind of what I feel, when the people leave, it's like,
Yeah, it's, I think,
they're not hurt.
yeah, tonight was really the process of these final plats. A lot of these questions that came up tonight were addressed during the site plan. So not, and I can't sit up here and remember it, because what we did in 22 or 23 to know if we had a fence on a 20 feet or 30 feet or whatever, and so we didn't have that, and that,
Yeah, maybe on the preliminary, I mean, on the final plat approvals, we should have the original site plan documented to show.
that,
It seems that they went out of here not
Yeah.
having campers.
Yeah.
No, I don't disagree at all.
Not that anything would change, but
And it wasn't new to them, but
you guys see it all the time.
the rooms were more crowded in the original site plan.
Yeah, number 25.
I did try to anticipate like a few of those questions. I knew like the landscaping at, Oyster Bay, I knew that was gonna come up, so I clipped a copy of the approved landscape plan, but I just didn't know all the.
it's
questions
not
about
typical to get this much response, and
the final subdivision plan.
the lady that suggested that this go to conservation at this point, and I mean, she would have a good argument before we approved the sub 3 years ago, but
Before they broke ground.
so I think there were some new people and new concerns. I think probably that Turpin turnout, probably now that people are experiencing it and it's not a good experience, we went out there, probably got some people in here, so.
And the traffic on Fort Morgan, every time somebody wants to put a subdivision on Fort Morgan, here they come, the roads are dangerous.
And,
We can't admit that the roads are dangerous. I mean. you get a
Well,
safety sign.
we did turn
Fort
down the last application because we felt like we needed.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we adjourn
More and
this
more.
meeting.
Second.
I make a motion we adjourn the official meeting.
Grant's
We
got
can
things
still,
to
we can
do.
still have discussion, but we
You
need
did
to
cut
get
us
off,
off 10 minutes ago.
we need to get off the record.
No, we're all on the.
Well, will you cut us off now?
Did you already cut us off?
scheduled for Wednesday because of
We're
Memorial
changing
Day.
days, we're changing days, huh?
Confirm I have.
Memorial Day on
Oh.
Monday.
Oh, yeah.